The series begins with a group of 5 students hanging out in a room, 2 guys and 3 girls. After downing a can of alcohol, Jumting stands up and informs the group he is going out to get more beer. As he gets to the door, he stares back briefly and a girl on the sofa stares back at him before he finally leaves. As he walks out, Jumting reveals that he was hoping she would offer to go with him. After he steps out, he is surprised when a female voice calls after him, and he turns around to see the girl that was lying on the sofa. She catches up to him and tells him she needs to get ice cream, so she was accompanying him. This girl's name is Lei Xia, and she is a year older than Jumting. He advises her to buy a big bowl of ice cream to gain weight and get rid of unwanted attention, and she smiles and teases him while calling him a naughty boy. Through Jumting's thoughts, he reveals he has a crush on Xia, but he hasn't told her. The duo hold hands as they walk down to the store. Xia suddenly pulls Jumting to a dark corner and holds him against the wall and leans in to kiss him. They both walk on after and Jumting reveals how they first met. Jumting is seen on a bus returning to school after the holidays when he receives a text from Zhu, his crush from high school. He realizes that she is asking him to hang out and he agrees to meet up with her. Jumting decides that he needs to change his clothes, so he drops off the bus at his stop and rushes home. At the entrance to the house, he finds a girl leaning against the wall and flicking a lighter on and off continuously. He wonders if she is waiting for someone as he unlocks the gate, but he concludes she is weird and walks in. On his way out after changing his dress, Jumting finds her outside still leaning against the wall. He realizes that her face looks vaguely familiar. He asks if they have met before, but she ignores him. Jumting walks off, but he stops when he suddenly realizes that she is Xia of Dream Suite, the celebrity that his friend Guju is obsessed with. He turns around and asks if she is Xia, but she walks menacingly toward him and suddenly rushes at him with her lighter in hand. For a split second, it seems as though she had slashed him across the face, but apparently she had turned off her lighter at the last moment. Jumting is stunned by this, so he stumbles backward, but Xia laughs at him and calls him slow for not dodging her when she ran toward him. Jumting threatens to call the cops on her, but she accuses him of being a stalker and dares him to call the police. Jumting immediately apologizes and explains to her that he's not a stalker. He also sings and dances to one of her songs before awkwardly rushing off to meet Zhu. Jumting meets Zhu standing outside the restaurant while stomping her feet to ward off the cold. They both walk in and he narrates his ordeal from earlier. They talk for a bit and Jumting asks if she has a boyfriend, but she becomes defensive. Jumting tries easing the tension by asking if they could hang out at his place later. After dinner, Jumting wraps his scarf around Zhu's neck and she thanks him. Jumting suggests that they meet up the next day with the excuse of returning the scarf, but she only smiles at this and they part ways. When he returns home, Jumting is surprised to find Xia still standing outside in the cold. Zhu warns him not to tell anyone who she is or where she lives here, and she threatens to beat him if he does so. After threatening him, Xia walks back in and Jumting walks into the house to find her unconscious on the floor. He rushes towards her and makes a call to 911. The next morning, Jumting wakes to someone continuously ringing his doorbell. When he opens the door, he finds Xia, food in hand, and she offers to have breakfast with him. When Xia offers to have breakfast with him, Jumting lies that he has had breakfast and slams the door in her face. While in class, Jumting texts Zhu to meet up with her, but she tells him she is busy. His classmates peek into his phone and tease him for being rejected, but Jumting tries correcting them. Meanwhile, Zhu is seen in her classroom, and it is obvious that she's not busy, but she had only made an excuse not to see Jumting. Later on, Jumting is seen returning home from school, and he is concerned that he has not seen Zhu in a week. Suddenly, Xia appears next to him and asks how his day went, but he ignores her and walks in while repeatedly saying no one is ever nice to him for no reason. As days go by, it begins to seem like Xia is stalking Jumting as he sees her everywhere, but whenever she tries talking to him, he ignores her. Sometime later, Xia comes looking for Jumting in his lecture hall and everyone stares at her as she makes her way to him. Once she reaches him, Jumting holds her hand and pulls her out of the hall. He asks how she had found him and she tells him that she heard him call out his name in department. Jumting tells her that he is not interested in her and he already has someone in his heart. She laughs and tells him she isn't interested in him that way. She only wants to be friends with him because she is lonely. She has no friends. She also reveals that she rent the whole floor of the apartment. She asks if he knows why she is suspended. That's what is keeping her from making friends. She is trying to change herself. He takes her number and asks that they have dinner together sometime later. As they walk home from school, he asks if he should call her sis. She tells him to be casual with her, but when he calls out her name, Xia, she turns around and holds her finger to his lips. He is surprised, but as they walk on, people around are complimenting her beauty. Xia asks that they have dinner together, but he tells her he is attending a party that night. She later tells Jumting that when they become close friends, she hopes he doesn't fall in love with her, and also she doesn't fall in love with him. At the party, Jumting is offered beer, but he refuses. A senior asks him if Xia is his girlfriend, but he reveals she is only his neighbor. In an attempt to get Jumting to give him Xia's number, he makes Jumting drink a lot of alcohol. He is unaware that Jumting hardly gets drunk. He gets a call from Shia, and when he picks up, he calls her Miss Smash Your Head. She asks if he is drunk, and he claims it is impossible. He walks out of the bar as they talked, and the senior is suddenly right beside him. He takes Jumting's phone and talks to Shia. While they both struggle for the phone, Shia drops the calls. The senior is throwing up by the road, and Jumting is patting his back when Shia arrives behind them, a bottle of alcohol in hand. The senior tries to woo her, but she asks him to stop embarrassing himself. She holds Jumting's hand and pulls him along. The senior rushes towards them and holds onto Jumting's other hand. He and Shia begin to pull Jumting towards each other, but she stops and suddenly swings the bottle towards his face. The senior dares Shia to hit him, but Jumting immediately comes between them. Jumting takes the wine bottle from Shia and drinks out of it before convincing his senior to drink the remaining contents. The senior raises his head to drink all of it, but when he looks back down, Shia and Jumting are long gone. Shia and Jumting run down the road, and they later make a stop to catch their breath. Jumting scolds Shia for trying to hurt someone with a bottle, and she suddenly starts crying. She tells him no matter how hard she tries to stay away from trouble, it always finds her. Jumting realizes that she is prone to violence and he asks her about it, but Shia tells him that it's a secret. He promises to be with her during crucial times and also hang out with her. Shia smiles and reveals she bought the alcohol so the two of them could drink together. Jumting asks her how she found him and she points at the posters on the wall as they walk down the road. He sees a back-to-school poster for the College of Literature, which is Yu's department. He runs towards the venue hoping to see her. He finds her outside and they wave at each other, but she stops suddenly when she sees someone behind him. She recognizes Shia right away and calls out her name, drawing everyone's attention to her. Ju walks up to her and introduces herself. People standing around begin to talk about Shia's alleged scandal until Shia calls Ju a skank and walks away. Zhu and Jumting leave together, but they're unable to get a ride because it's way too late in the night. Zhu is stranded and has nowhere to go. She reveals that her parents will be pissed off if she stays out, so she accepts Jumting's offer to spend the rest of the night at his apartment. Back at the apartment, both Zhu and Jumting plead with Shia to call Zhu's parents, pretending to be her friend, and tell them she is spending the night at her apartment. Shia is initially hesitant, but helps Zhu out in the end. She also asks her to spend the night at her place, and the three of them end up drinking. The girls become friends in their drunken state, and Shia walks out to get some fresh air. Jumting realizes that she is lightly dressed, so he pulls off his sweatshirt and takes it to her. Shia asks how long he has known Zhu, and Jumting tells her that they both attended the same tutorial class before college. Shia reveals she is jealous of their friendship as none of hers had ever lasted long. Jumting holds Shia's hand while she cries quietly. The next morning, Jumting is seen throwing up in the bathroom while Shia sits outside the bathroom door. Shia is surprised when he walks out and compliments her eye's color, but she says nothing. Jumting asks for Zhu and Shia, tells him she already took a shower and left early to avoid getting yelled at by her parents. Shia walks up to her cupboard and she reaches out for her lighter and a box of cigarettes, but Jumting comes behind her and gets it for her. When he asks if the cigarette belongs to her, she takes it from him and empties it down the toilet. Jumting is curious about her, so he decides to look her up on the internet, but she enters the room at that moment and Jumting hides his phone. He is mesmerized by her eyes, so he rushes out to dispose of some trash while shouting out that he is not attracted to her. Jumting is surprised to find her watching him, but she merely smiles and invites him to have takeout with him. A month later, Jumting, Shia, and Zhu go out to see the cherry blossoms, and Shia is very excited because she had not seen them in a long while. While Shia gets distracted by the cherry blossoms, Jumting tells Zhu his classmates are asking who his girlfriend is, but she says nothing. They catch up to Shia and take some pictures, but after some time, Shia and Jumting sees Zhu off back to her school. Jumting asks Zhu if they could visit the library together, but she refuses while telling him that it's better they read separately since they have different majors. Jumting feels unhappy because Zhu dismissed his offer, and Shia notices this on their way home, so she tries to cheer him up by showing him a photo of Zhu she took that day. When he sees it, he smiles and asks her to share the pictures on their group chat. Shia asks if he likes her that much, but he initially denies it before walking away. However, he returns and asks her if his feelings are so obvious. He also says he knows she isn't interested in him and walks away. Later on, Zhu returns Jumting's scarf, and a classmate walks over and reveals the scarf has been on Zhu's table for days. Zhu awkwardly dismisses her, and they leave together. Over time, Zhu continually declines Jumting's offer to hang out and only agrees when Jumting invites Shia to hang out with them. Jumting tells Shia that Zhu is his first love even though she is not into him. Later on, Yun's, a friend of Jumting's, invites him to a get-together. It's going to be between 3 girls and 3 boys. Shia barges into Jumting's room and gives him a makeover. She tells him that her reason for this is to make him look the best at the get-together and also to see how attractive he can look. Shia forbids him from having a girlfriend because they won't be able to hang out together anymore if he does. When he insists it won't change their friendship, she teases him, telling him friends don't hold hands. Jumting is fashionably late to the party, and one of the girls with red hair immediately takes a liking to him. The other 2 girls put lipstick on his lips for fun, and they took a Polaroid photo of him. When he sees it, Jumting realizes he had on the same color of lipstick Xia uses. Jumting is forced to sing a karaoke song, and the red-haired girl watches him while considering if she should make a move on him or not. As the party continues, Jumting picks up an earring from the floor that belongs to the girl with red hair. He gives her the earring and they talk briefly about piercings. Later on, the boys and girls are paired up as 3 couples to play wedlock wine, and Jumting is paired with the red-haired girl. For the first 3 rounds, the bottle doesn't stop on Jumting, but it does on the 4th try. Jumting and Ruoni are asked to share a kiss for the 4th and final round, but both watch awkwardly before Ruoni suddenly downs a glass of alcohol and leans in for a kiss. Meanwhile, Xia tosses and turns in bed wondering what Jumting is up to. Ruoni thinks about how she had lost all hope for love before showing up for the get-together. She had also hoped to meet a guy to help her get over her previous breakup. She makes a move to kiss Jumting, but she gets nervous, so she leans back without kissing him. She regains her confidence and downs another glass of alcohol before leaning in to kiss him, but he holds his finger against her lips. He reveals he has not had his first kiss, and he doesn't want to remember it as a kiss he shared with a senior during Truth or Dare, as it would make him look pathetic. The whole group laughs at this, and they decide he should sing instead. After the party, Ruoni is tipsy and wants to go home, so Jumting offers to walk her home. They both leave together, and on their way, Jumting talks about his unrequited love, and he mentions that persistence in love does not always pay. This made Ruoni also talk about her breakup. Ruoni reveals that her ex-boyfriend broke up with her after he repeated senior class in high school for 3 consecutive years. Jumting walks up to her and brushes her hair from her face as he realizes that she is crying, but she tells him that she isn't. Jumting wonders to himself whether Shia's hair feels the same way as Ruoni's, but he immediately pushes away the thought as they leave. After getting Ruoni home, he turns around to go to his apartment. On the way, he considers texting Xia, but he changes his mind to send a voice note instead, and as he is about to, his phone goes off. He runs back home while calling out her name, and he finds her sitting outside the house waiting for him. He tells her he had fun and convinces her he is not drunk by walking in a straight line. When she tells him that she has been indoors all day, he tells her about how he wishes he could take a break from school. Xia and Jumting laugh about how he got lipstick on his lips, but she gets jealous when he tells her they played wedlock wine. While he's trying to convince her that it is not as she thinks, she holds his face and leans in to kiss him briefly, but when she tries moving away, Jumting pulls her in and kisses her. After they both kiss, Xia goes into her apartment and asks him to come in, but he tells her he'll head in later. He wakes up with a start the next day as he can't get over the fact that he had his first kiss with Xia. Jumting leaves the house for the library hoping to clear his head, and he finds a poster requesting a female housemate. Jumting eventually discovers that Xia is renting out. At school, Jumting is unable to concentrate on reading as his mind keeps going back to the kiss he shared with Xia. After he returns home, Jumting knocks at Xia's door and he asks about the for rent sign. He also tells her that he wants to talk about their kiss, so she lets him in. When Xia talks bluntly about the kiss, he falls to his knees in embarrassment, and she is also shocked to learn that she was his first kiss. They sit and Xia tells him that she's renting out a room in hopes of getting another friend. He asks if they could both go out with Zhu after exams, and she agrees to this. She also asks if she would hold his hands, and he lets her. But Xia holds his hands and leans her head on his shoulder. As the days go by, Xia gets startled whenever he remembers the kiss he shared with Xia. He meets Zhu in school, and they end up walking back home together. Jumting asks that they hang out later during the weekend, and Zhu asks him to follow her to the library. He does so, but they are both assigned to seats very far from each other. While they are waiting in line, a male friend of Zhu walks up to her, and they chat for a while. Zhu's male friend asks if Jumting is her boyfriend. She denies it. Jumting is angered by this as he realizes that Zhu had purposely refused to hang out with him since all these while, so he makes up an excuse to leave. Jumting feels betrayed by this, but he realizes he has not been fair to her either, since he had also flirted with Xia and even gone so far as to kiss her. Ruoni is seen preparing for exams when she decides that she needs to get over her breakup by becoming more social. Ruoni decides that the first step she could take was to get an apartment off campus. We're shown a flashback from the past when Zhu and Jumting were still high school students. They walk towards Zhu's house to get her notebook, and on their way, Zhu tells him that she had gotten suspended from school and that was why she had not been attending classes. When they arrive at her house, Zhu's father finds them outside and scolds her harshly for hanging out with a boy and bringing him home. Zhu is angered when he calls her embarrassing names, and she flings her school bag at him and tells him she feels embarrassed to be born into his family. Zhu runs off after grabbing Jumting's hand, and when they finally stop for air, she apologizes that he had to witness what happened. Zhu also asks that he forgets it. We're brought back to the present as Zhu finds Jumting at a cafe outside the library. Zhu grabs his hand and asks him to go somewhere with her. She takes him to the rooftop and they both watch the night sky and the city. She tries telling him the reason why she brought him there, but she refuses to complete the sentence and asks them to go back to reading. She leaves him behind while speedily walking out of the library as she reveals that she likes Jumting, but she's afraid to confess her feelings because they can't be together, especially since her situation wouldn't allow it. Jumting returns home and wakes up the next day to find Xia staring at him. She tries to make him get out of bed, but he doesn't move an inch, and he asks her to go and make other friends. Shia is angered by this, but she ignores his words and flips him over with his bedspread. Jumtae snatches it from her and goes back to bed, and Shia leaves angrily. Jumtae wakes up in a sore mood as he is yet to figure out why Zhu took him to the rooftop. Ruino comes around and Shia calls Jumtae to help her with moving her things into the apartment. Jumtae gets out of bed to meet her, and he is shocked, however, when he finds out the new housemate is Ruoni. We're taken to a flashback of the past where Ruoni is seen leaving the library when she comes across the poster outside Jumtae and Shia's apartment. She knocks on the door and she's answered by Shia, whose beauty immediately captivates her. Shia gives her a tour of the apartment and she gives her a condition that she has a male neighbor upstairs and he'll be coming around a lot. Ruoni tells her that she doesn't mind, but she almost loses her mind when she enters Shia's walk-in closet as she is mind-blown by the numerous designer bags and dresses. Shia notices this and tells her she can have some of the bags. Ruoni snaps out of her reverie and is surprised to discover that Jumtae is the male housemate that Shia had mentioned. Ruoni treats Jumtae coldly while he tries to talk to her, and Jumtae wonders why he is being treated that way, but he suddenly remembers that he forgot to text her after the last time that they met. After Ruoni has fully settled in, they all go out for dinner. They all have alcohol, and later on, Shia goes out to get some air, and Jumtae and Ruoni make up their differences. When they walk out of the restaurant, they talk about the get-together unaware that Shia could hear them. In his drunken state, Jumtae reveals he is falling in love with her while thinking he is talking to Shia, and Ruoni misunderstands and assumes he is interested in her. He collapses on her, so Shia rushes forward and takes him home. After Shia tucks him in bed, she asks if he is happy now, but he is confused. Shia asks him to scoot over and she sits down next to him. She asks that they date officially, but Jumtae refuses while thinking that Shia is toying with him. Shia tries convincing him otherwise, but Jumtae is still curious about why Zhu had taken him to the rooftop earlier that day. Shia realizes that Jumtae is uninterested in anything she has to say, so she calls him a dummy and lays back down. The next morning, Jumtae wakes up before Shia. He stares at her for a while and stands up to sneak out. Shia wakes up just then and stops him since nothing happened between them. They leave together and she suddenly turns around and rubs his jaw to feel his beard. Ruoni sees them and is shocked. She finds out they spent the night together. Jumtae looks up Shia on the internet. She is portrayed as a violent person. He calls Guju his friend. He is mad at Jumtae for telling him to his mom. Jumtae asks if he is still a fan of Lei Shia, and he tells him she is his friend and they hang out together. Guju doesn't believe him. He tells him he is not a fan of Shia anymore and drops the call. Jumtae decides to stop looking her up. Guju visits Jumtae, but only because his mom made him. Jumtae meets him at the gate. He is worried things will get out of hand if Guju meets Shia. Jumtae takes the bag from Guju and shuts the door in his face. Guju is pissed about this, so he sneaks into the compound to spy on him. He is surprised when he sees Shia, and he is all over her at once. He tries taking a photo with her, but she kicks him out of the house. Guju sneaks in the next day, and Jumtae kicks him out, but he keeps coming around until he finally meets. He offers her tuna, and she takes it, but throws it away. Shia asks Guju to stay away from her. Guju is angry, and he shouts at her, accusing her of pretending. Jumtae rushes out to them, and he stands between them. He asks Guju to go out, but he grabs him and ends up in a scuffle. Guju pushes Jumtae off. He renounces their friendship and walks away. Jumtae is angry, but when he turns around, he finds Shia shaky. He consoles her and asks him on a date. Later on, Jumtae and Zhu are seen walking toward the school library together. Zhu and Jumtae laugh at how Guju had been showing up at Jumtae's doorstep for the past few weeks. However, Shia had refused to see him each time. After Zhu picks up some books at the library, they're about to walk down a flight of stairs when Zhu loses her footing, but Jumtae catches her at the last minute, and they end up in an awkward situation. Jumtae notices that Zhu is visibly flustered by this, and he eases the tension by picking up her books. After Jumtae picks up a couple of books, he is surprised when Zhu calls out to him and asks if he could accompany her on Cultural Festival Day. Zhu reveals that she would be working as a patrol and setting up tents for the crowd, and Jumtae is initially hesitant about this, but after noticing the blush on Zhu's face, he agrees to accompany her while harboring hopes that she feels the same way about him. The next day, Jumtae and Shia are seen discussing on a bench when Shia asks if he has plans for Cultural Festival Day. Jumtae tells Shia about his plans with Zhu, but she draws closer to him and tries teasing him into canceling out. The first day of the cultural festival finally arrives, and Jumtae is visibly surprised when Shia strolls into the school premises while stealing the crowd's attention with her bold attire and stunning looks. He hands her his jacket to stop people from staring so intently at her, but it only incites the crowd's attention as they walk past. Shia spends the rest of the day hanging out with Jumtae, and they have fun with Jumtae's friends. Later on, they stop by a booth to take some pictures, but the booth attendant is not around. They eventually decide to wait for the attendant, but after waiting for a while, Shia excuses herself. A few moments later, a lady wearing a chicken head appears and tells Jumtae that she is the booth attendant. She also apologizes for keeping Jumtae waiting, but it turns out to be Ruino. They're both excited to reunite again, but before they could exchange contacts, Shia arrives and grabs Jumtae's hands while telling him that she is ready to leave. Ruino is hurt by this as she immediately assumes that they're dating. On their way back home, Shia asks Jumting if he had fun because she was around, and Jumting tells her that he did. Jumting feels a twinge of guilt as he realizes that he was starting to lose feelings for Zhu. He also regrets not making a move on her because Zhu had not encouraged him to tell her his feelings on the rooftop the other day, but he decides not to shy away from his feelings for Shia any longer. Jumting cracks a joke and Shia laughs hard at this, but unknown to them, Zhu watches them from a corner with an indecipherable expression on her face. She recalls how she had sent a message to Jumting to remind him about the festival, but Jumting had excused himself, and she sadly realizes that Jumting's feelings for her had changed. While Jumting and Shia stroll around the campus in oblivion to Zhu's jealousy, they come across a large crowd in front of a huge stage. Shia asks Jumting if they can watch the show, and Jumting wonders if Shia misses stardom. The show's MC makes an appearance and tells the audience that 5 people would be allowed to openly confess their love for a crush through a dance performance or a song, and she asks people to volunteer. Shia steps out in front of the crowd, and Jumting tries to stop her as he is stunned by their actions, but the crowd prevents him from getting through to her. Shia introduces herself to the audience, and the crowd goes wild as they realize that she is Lai Shia, the most famous member of Dream Suite. Shia tells the MC that she'll be singing a song, and Jumting wonders if Shia has someone that she likes, and if there was a remote chance that this person was him. However, Shia gets last-minute jitters, and the air gets tense with tension as she stays silent. Just when the MC decides to kick Shia off stage, Zhu comes to her rescue and asks if she can sing a song before Shia. Zhu tells the audience that her song is dedicated to a crush. However, she could not reveal his name because emotions were private feelings that should only be shown to a significant other. While Zhu sings in an offbeat tune, the crowd receives her warmly, and Shia steps off the stage. Jumting wonders who Zhu's crush is and whether or not she has a romantic interest in him. However, all thoughts of Zhu fly out of his head as he notices Shia's pain-stricken expression. A few days later, Jumting gets word that Shia had refused to leave her room after that night, so he decides to check up on her. Jumting knocks on Shia's door repeatedly, and he is surprised when the door opens and he is suddenly pulled in. Shia presses Jumting against the wall of her bedroom, and they gaze intently at each other. Their hormones gain control of them, and Jumting kisses Shia as he realizes that he has fallen in love with her. Jumting tries to leave after realizing that Shia is safe. However, she persuades him not to go as Ruino was now in the living room, and she would suspect that something was going on between them if he went out at that moment. Jumting kisses Shia again, and they end up on the bed. However, Jumting restrains himself as he realizes that he is probably the only one with butterflies in his stomach, but he thinks back to his past experiences with Shia and wonders if she feels the same way. Jumting waits until the sexual tension reduces before telling Shia that no one was talking about her nervous breakdown at the show, as Zhu had come to her rescue and had managed to steal the heart of everyone in the show. He also tells her Zhu was now the talk of the town and advises Shia to thank Zhu by buying her dinner. But out of jealousy, Shia flares up and tells Jumting that she never asked for Zhu's help, and Zhu's voice was horrendous. She also tells Jumting that the other volunteers performed horribly, and she wondered how people had enjoyed that performance when she could have done way better. Jumting is annoyed by her outbursts, so he leaves her room in anger. But as soon as Jumting steps out of Shia's room, he encounters Ruino, who implies that he's the reason why Shia had not left her room for days, but he ignores her and leaves. That night, Jumting volunteers at the cultural festival and works alongside Zhu. He decides to ask her who she had sung for the previous night, but Zhu almost runs into a train. Jumting saves her at the last minute, and they're stuck gazing at each other for a long while, but Zhu pretends as if she had never heard the question, and Jumting says nothing about this. Jumting arrives home late, and Shia apologizes to him and asks why he was avoiding her. He reminds her that she had told him that they could only be friends, and friends don't hold hands. Jumting tells Shia that he has homework to do and tries to go back inside, but Shia asks him if his homework is more important than she is, and Jumting tells her that it is. Shia is hurt by this, and she hugs him from the back and tells him that they'll see how long he could ignore her. But Jumting asks Shia if their little moments meant anything to her, or if she was just toying with him. He tells her to stop giving him false hope and reveals that he hates himself for wishful thinking, cause the same thing had happened with Zhu that night. Shia releases Jumting's hand and says nothing, and Jumting heads into the house. Jumting is stunned when he steps into the house and sees Zhu, who reveals that Shia had invited her for a girls' night out. Zhu notices the tension between Shia and Jumting and excuses herself for a minute. After she leaves, Jumting asks Shia what she's trying to do by inviting Zhu, and Shia reveals that she plans to vent to her about her boy troubles and ask why a boy who used to flirt with her was no longer interested in her. Jumting is scared that this might ruin his chances with Zhu, and Shia tries to take advantage of the situation by holding his hand, but Zhu chooses that moment to walk in, and Jumting drops Shia's hands like hot water. The next day, Jumting is surprised when news spread through his school that Shia, the former member of Dream Suite, is on campus. Jumtae notices Goju rushing off to meet her, so he locates Xia and grabs her by the hand before running off with her. They pause to catch their breaths, and Jumtae asks Xia why she decided to show up. Xia tells Jumtae that he had refused to hang out with her because he had one thing or the other to do at school, so she thought she might visit him at school. Xia asks Jumtae if he would like to get some drinks with her, and Jumtae refuses. However, he agrees after considering her relentlessness. Jumtae tells Xia that he'll get some drinks at the liquor store and asks her to head back home without him. In the liquor store, Jumtae runs into Ruone, who is vexed that Jumtae confessed his feelings for her and went on to flirt with Xia. Ruone confronts Jumtae about this and asks him to fully ignore Xia if he plans on doing so, and Jumtae tells her that he originally planned to ignore her. However, her efforts to catch his attention was so cute that it was hard to ignore. Ruone and Jumtae head back home together, and they run into a pervert who had been following Xia and taking her pictures. Xia asks if Jumtae had seen the stranger's face, but Jumtae tells her that he didn't. After the incident, they head back home together, but they're stuck inside for days due to the bad weather. Jumtae notices that Xia and Ruone have been acting unusually for the past few days, so he decides to break the tension by organizing a barbecue party. He invites Zhu and his male best friends, Goju and Yuns. Goju brings seafood and apologizes to Xia for stalking her for days, and Xia accepts his apology. After a while, Xia tells the others what it's like to be a celebrity and how she was always followed by paparazzi whose cameras were often directed at her lower body. She further reveals that celebrities had no personal lives and were often judged by fans and trolls alike, and Jumtae finally understands the reason for Xia's hostile behavior toward him during their first meeting. Just then, Goju notices a young man with a camera taking pictures of Xia through the fence. The man realizes that he has been caught by Goju, and he runs off before Goju gets a hold of him, but Jumtae chases after him and catches up to him. They drive the stalker into the compound, and after checking through his camera, they find many pictures of Xia. Jumtae suggests that they call the police, but Xia tells them that she had been in the same situation on countless occasions, and the police had done nothing each time because apparently they were just harmless pictures and she had not been touched or physically assaulted. Jumtae asks what they can do with the stalker, and Xia suggests that Jumtae uses a beer bottle to rough him up a little bit. However, Jumtae hesitates as he hates the thought of violence. Goju decides to do the needful, and Jumtae stops him. Xia leaves the scene in tears, and Jumtae and Yuns argue with Goju on what to do. However, they're all alarmed when Zhu smashes a bottle on the stalker's face and threatens him. Goju beams at Zhu in pride, but Yuns and Jumtae are both surprised that Zhu is capable of such violence. Zhu's outburst reminds Jumtae of how Zhu had run away from her overbearing and over-controlling father in high school. He recalls that Zhu only ever has an outburst whenever she has too many negative emotions piled up, and he wonders what was responsible for Zhu's outburst. Yuns brings Jumtae out of his trance by telling him that they could no longer bring the police into this situation as they could all be convicted for ganging up against the stalker and harming him with a sharp object. But Goju devises a way to convince the stalker to keep his mouth shut. Later on, Jumtae tells Xia that Zhu had beaten the assaulter with a broken bottle, and he further reveals that they had followed him home to erase any photos of Xia from his cloud and flash drive with the threat that they would roughen him up if he was ever caught taking pictures of Xia. Xia hugs Jumtae and kisses his hand in appreciation before leaving her room for the first time in a while. Ruino and Zhu arrive shortly after, and they hug Xia and offer her their support all through this horrendous situation. The next day, Jumtae writes his last paper and plops down on the couch. Xia welcomes him and asks why he's so exhausted, but he reveals that he has not had any sleep in the past 3 days as he had stayed up overnight to study for his exams. Xia suggests that they take a break and go on a vacation somewhere, and Jumtae agrees with her. Jumtae raises his blanket cover to look at Xia, but he's surprised to see her staring at him with a blush and thoughtful expression on her face. Jumtae realizes that she must have been having perverted thoughts about him, and he calls her out for it, but before Xia could defend herself. The doorbell rings, and they're surprised to meet Zhu with a large suitcase. Zhu asks if she can move in for a few months and explains that something came up at home, but Jumtae tells them he's heading out. While taking a stroll, Jumtae worries about why Zhu moved in as he recalls that she had also run away from home after getting into trouble with her dad in high school. He considers asking her after he gets back home, but he realizes that Zhu had always been a closed book and she would only tell him if she wanted to. Jumtae walks around for a while, and he ends up running into Ruino, who was seated at an open bar close to the campus waterside. Ruino realizes that Jumtae has no feelings for her, but she believes that this is solely her fault as she had never acted on her feelings, unlike Xia. She refuses the attempts of the other men at the bar and grabs Jumtae's hand before telling him that she's going to try harder to win his heart. Jumtae is stunned by her declarations, but he accompanies her to different tourist attractions in the area. Jumtae and Ruino end up spending the night out, and they head back home together with Ruino's arms wrapped around Jumtae. However, their mood is instantly spoiled as they run into Shia by the front door. Shia flicks her lighter and clarifies that they spent the night together. Jemtang explains that he had visited a campus attraction with Ruino, but she had hurt her leg along the way, so they had spent the night at a hospital. He further reveals that Ruino had to lean on him to get her footing, but Shia says nothing and walks back inside. Jemtang is stunned by Shia's indifference, as he half expected her to throw a tantrum, but he drops Ruino's arm and walks back inside. On getting inside, Jemtang gets a text from Shia asking him to take a power nap and meet her outside in the evening. Jemtang sets an alarm before plopping down on his bed, and he wakes up to his alarm in the evening. He wonders why Shia asked him to meet up with her, but he realizes that she probably wanted to get something at the convenience store, so he steps out to meet her in his pajamas. Shia asks Jemtang to follow her to different places, and they end up staying out for a long while. Jemtang is bothered by Shia's earlier display of indifference, so he asks Shia why she had said nothing earlier that morning. Shia cheekily tells Jemtang that she wasn't bothered by him and Ruino since she was extremely sure that nothing could happen between them. Besides, if he had such a gorgeous celebrity like herself living downstairs, why would he fall in love with anyone else? Jemtang is hurt by this as he realizes that she's actually right. He suggests that they head back home since it's getting pretty late already, but Shia asks him to hang out with her for a little longer. Shia asks Jemtang to give her a piggyback ride because she's hurt her leg, and Jemtang realizes that Shia was trying to do every single thing he did with Ruino. He laughs at her antics, but he gives in to her request. Shia asks him to take her to a restaurant, and Jemtang is pissed at this as he realizes that they're on a date. At the restaurant, Shia tells Jemtang that she'll be hanging out with someone the next day, and Jemtang gets jealous about this. He asks who it is, and Shia asks if he wants it to be a boy or a girl. Jemtang excuses himself to go to the bathroom and tries convincing himself that he doesn't care who she hangs out with. He heads back to the restaurant and notices numerous boys lining up to talk to her. Jemtang walks over to one of them and tells him that he's with her, but the boy tells him that he's underdressed and asks him to wait for his turn. Jemtang fumes at this and tells Shia that he wants her to go out with a girl, and she laughs and tells the offending male that she's with Jemtang. Jemtang and Shia head back home afterward, but the next morning, Shia wakes up with a hangover. Jemtang tries convincing her to stay at home, but Shia doesn't listen. Zhu watches them and remarks that they seem to have had way too many drinks the other night, but Jemtang bows his head in guilt. Shia cleans up and tells Jemtang that she's planning on meeting up with Xia Yan, the leader of Dream Suite and her former best friend. Rain starts falling, but Shia picks up an umbrella and heads out while Jemtang stares at her in worry. On her way to Xia Yan, Shia remembers how she used to be so close to her and how things had changed for the worse after they got famous. They never had any private time to hang out, and they were often asked to wear revealing clothing to attract the attention of the crowd. She also recalls how the paparazzi had taken indecent pictures of her on numerous occasions, but after she had complained to the police and their manager, she had been told that all press was good press. Shia eventually developed issues with her mental health and started laughing to hide her tears in public. When Shia couldn't take the pressure of the industry anymore, she decided to leave show business. Shia recalls how Xayan had begged her to stay after she learned of her decision, but Shia had simply smiled at her and told her she couldn't take it anymore. At the restaurant, Xayan and Shia exchange pleasantries, but Xayan notices that Shia is drinking a fattening drink and calls her out for this. Shia asks why Xayan cares about her physical appearance, but Xayan asks if she's happy. Shia tells her that she's doing fine, and Xayan tells her to live a fulfilling life because she owes her that much. She also asks her to love whoever she wants to love and eat whenever she feels like eating on behalf of the team members. After Xayan leaves, Shia cries happily and walks out of the restaurant without using an umbrella. She makes up her mind to love whoever she loves and do whatever her heart desires. On getting home, Shia meets Jemtang at the front and realizes that she likes everything about him from his physical appearance to his mannerisms. Jemtang is visibly concerned as to why she failed to use an umbrella, but Shia grabs his arm and kisses him in broad daylight. Jemtang gets lost in the kiss, but their little moment is broken as the front door opens and Ruino steps out to see them kissing. Ruino is visibly hurt by this as she assumes that Jemtang and Shia are now an item, but Jemtang rushes inside in embarrassment. Jemtang's phone vibrates and he realizes that he has gotten a text from his dad telling him it's his mom's birthday. Jemtang rushes over to his family and meets them celebrating the occasion at a restaurant. During lunch, Jemtang is teased by his family about how he had always been so crazy about Zhu that he had even applied to the same university as she did. Jemtang is embarrassed at the fact that his entire family was well aware of his feelings for Zhu, but he says nothing. His sister questions him about whether he had finally managed to confess his feelings for Zhu or if he was finally dating someone else, but they're all disappointed in him as he says no. At his family house, Jemtang gets a call from Shia who tells him about her meeting with Xayan. She tells him that Xayan had asked her to live her life to the fullest, and she planned on doing exactly that. She also reveals that she wants to fall in love with someone and get a public confession. Shia tells Jumting that candles arranged in a heart formation and a large bouquet of roses would be really nice, and Jumting realizes that Shia is implying that she likes him. Jumting drops on the bed as Shia tells him not to forget her idea of a public confession before handing the call. He stares sadly at a picture of him and Zhu during high school, and just then, a text arrives from Zhu who asks if he would like to get some drinks and hang out with the others. After Jumting arrives at school, Yuns and Guozhu come by and they hang out with the girls. They eventually run out of drinks and Jumting volunteers to get some for them. Before stepping out, Jumting glances at Shia while harboring secret hopes that she would ask to accompany him, but she says nothing. Jumting walks out alone, but he is pleasantly surprised when he is joined by Shia. On their way back from the convenience store, Shia tries to hold on to Jumting, but Jumting stops her. She complains about this, but Jumting blushes as he reveals that he'd been embarrassed when Ruoning had caught them kissing the other day. Shia pins Jumting against a wall and asks why he had noticed Ruoning when they were having a moment. She tells him to focus on her this time before kissing him. But Zhu steps out to throw out some garbage and sees them kissing. Jumting's eyes widen as he opens his eyes to see Zhu. The series ends with all hopes of more drama to come as Zhu stares at Jumting through sad eyes.